So in this video we're going to look at some orthographic sketching. We're going to use a resource from the designclass.co.uk website, which is a really useful resource for National 5 graphics all the way up to advanced higher graphics. And we're going to use one of the CAD modelling resources, but we're going to do a sketch of the orthographic. So whilst this is usually used for some CAD modelling practice, what we're going to do is we're going to use it for some orthographic sketching practice. So we're basically going to redraw what is on the left of the screen here. I'm going to zoom in because we're going to start with the plan this time, and we're going to start by getting the circle from the plan here, and then we're going to get the other little curve added in second. So to start off with, I'm going to approximate a box or a crate that's big enough to fit this circle first of all, and then we'll add that on later on. So the outside circle has a radius of 20. It's given as a radius because it's not a complete circle, so we can't give a diameter. But by doubling that up, we know that if it's radius 20 from here to here, it's going to be the same at the other side. So it is in fact diameter 40. So we're going to approximate roughly just up near the top of the page. We're going to give ourselves not a baseline this time, but just a line horizontally. I've gone about 3/4 up the page. I'm going to use that to start off, and I'm going to mark on that line a length of about 40 millimeters, and then I'm going to sketch down vertically. And again on those two lines there, I'm going to approximate the same length down as I had up here. So again, looking for 40 millimeters, approximately there, and going horizontally across. Now that's going to give us a little crate to work in to form this little curve here. So I'm going to start with my diagonals, going corner to corner. Helps me find the centre of that box. I'm going to go from left to right, and I'm going to go from the bottom up to the top. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us our point at 12, at 3, at 6, and at 9. And in each one of these little quadrants, each quarter of the box, I'm going to be able to form an extra construction point. So I'm going to do that first of all by going between 12 and 3 and finding the halfway point on this line, and then halving that again to find my 3/4 point. And what that will do is allow me to sketch a curve roughly through that point and form an approximate circle. If I then follow the same process all the way around, so between 6 and 3, half it, and then find my 3/4 point, and I'm going to sketch through that and repeat that process all the way around. Now that I've got that circle on the outside here, I'm going to work on getting the inside one here. So you'll notice there's a difference between the sizes, so radius 20 and diameter 30. Now we already said that that was really equal to diameter 40, and this inside one, because it is a complete circle, is given as diameter 30. So a 10mm difference, 5 in each side. So what we're going to do is we're going to sketch roughly a 5mm internal diameter. So just following the path, no need to go through the process of constructing, we just can follow that line all the way around the inside. With circles, your lines will probably be a little bit sketchy, so just keep them light so that you can firm them in more accurately and consistently at the end of your sketch. You now see that I've got two circles that represent this object here, and the next stage is to start working on this curve coming from here. To work on this curve, we now need to look from this centre point and see that the centre down here almost lines up with this perfectly. So I'm going to extend this down from the centre, and I'm going to extend out to the right here as well. And that's going to allow me to have this point here and this point here, and then kind of work between these 2 points over here. If I look for this radius here, so from the edge of this circle, so from the outside of this point here, it goes at radius 45, and it looks like it would continue to pass through and just graze against that circle almost a tangent and work its way around there, and then the radius 40 would come on the inside there. So what I'm going to have to do is work out approximately a mark from where 45 would be down from there, and where 40 would be from there as well. So to work out where this point here is, I'm actually going to extend this line down from the original circle, and I'm going to approximate where my 45mm would be from this point. Now 45mm is just over the 40 that this was. So working from here, I'm going to almost try to use this size and add it on down here. And I would say that that is probably from there to there the same size as that. What I can then do is extend vertically up from this point till it meets that original line, and then horizontally till it meets that line. And what that should allow us to do is find our halfway, and our 3/4 point should be roughly here, which it would be. So what I can do is treat that as roughly where my 3/4 point would be, and I'm going to start just to the left of this line, because obviously that centre point matched up with that centre point. I'm going to work following the curve, aiming for the edge of that circle, and then again I'm going to finish up a wee bit higher just because we know the outside of that curve was a little bit further up. Following that down, and it gives me the approximate shape of that curve. What I can then do is look to see that these little curves form on the end. So add that on there and add that one on there, and I'm going to follow that same path, this time below the object, to get round there. And then I'm going to add the little fillet on the inside there, that little blended curved edge, onto there and onto there, and I've formed the bulk of my shape. Now the bit that I'm missing is this little extrusion coming from here. I just need to estimate on this line where it comes out. It's only out to about there, because again it's about 5mm, so the same distance from there to there as there to there, and then because of the angle it's just going up at 45 degrees until it meets this point. What I can do now is start to line this object in. Now that I've lined in the object, you can see the general geometry of the shape. I'm going to go now and look at the elevation and project some of these lines down in order to help us form that elevation. So I'm going to take from the left of the object and from the right first of all, and then I'm going to get myself a baseline, so going horizontally across, and then I'm going to add in the height, which you'll see there is 10mm. And what I can now do is look to try and bring some of these lines down so I can see the various parts of the object. So this line corresponds with the edge of the curve. I'm going to look at what's at the front, so I'm going to bring this down here just so I can see this edge. I'm going to bring this down here as well. I'm going to bring these 2 points here because they're going to help form that little protrusion there. This one up here, and that one's already down for us. Next part I need to add in is where the heights of this little object are, just so I can form it in. You can see that it's about midway up the object, even though there's not a specific height given, and then it's 2mm in thickness. So I'm going to first of all get a midline all the way across, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add about 1mm above it and 1mm below it, and I'm going to firm that in using that line, and that line there. After that, I only have one more line to add in. Now it's this one. Now you'll notice that in this part of the drawing there is a solid outline and a hidden detail line. The solid line represents this edge because then it starts curving back in itself, whereas this one is shown as a hidden detail line just to represent something else further back. It's this fillet here. The reason that at this point we don't have an outline is because that curve is actually continuing round and we can still see that surface, so it's not shown as a solid outline, it's shown as hidden detail. So that one becomes a firm outline, as does that one. This becomes hidden detail. We're not going to touch any of these ones just now, and then we've got this outline here as well, which I can then just firm up along the top and along the bottom. Just coming back to the last of these hidden detail lines, they just represent some of the other parts of the object. So the hidden detail corresponds to the inside edge of that surface, as with that one there, and then this little hidden detail one showing the back edge of that object there. So we just add them in. So you can see that one coming down here becomes hidden detail. That one, which we've already got, again becomes hidden detail, as does the back edge there. Just for clarity, I'll line it in pen, just so it's a bit more visible. So now that it's been lined in, you should be able to see that we've got the plan of the object, so that view from above, and now we've got our elevation, our view from the front if it was sitting on a surface. You can see that I've added in quite a bit of hidden detail, shown with the dash spaced line, just showing edges or surfaces that aren't visible, but basically what it's showing is as if I'm looking in against that, and by having those two views, I've got a clear view of how that object would look